Head of DI shouldn't report to HR, unfiltered with Netta Jenkins. Head of DI shouldn't report to HR. Published on March 9, 2021. Open article in reader mode. Netta Jenkins, MBA, as seen on Forbes, Diversity and Inclusion Executive Advisory Board Member, author, co-founder of DIPA. Following, Netta Jenkins, MBA, as seen on Forbes. So you need a Chief Diversity Officer? Diversity, equity and inclusion have always been core issues of concern. Today, though, the demand for awareness and clear action has exploded. To begin to think about hiring a leader or a supporting team for DI efforts, we might ask, does the company have a clear understanding of what DI is? Does it mean merely having BIPOC in leadership? Or neurodivergent employees' ideas being received with the same level of seriousness as non-neurodivergent thinkers? Are the identities of all company staff being respected and valued? These are just a few questions to consider as you think about hiring a Chief Diversity Officer or a team to support DI within your organization. What does a Chief Diversity Officer do? Chief Diversity Officers need to be nimble in supporting varying needs of workers and staff, while also strategizing about how to weave DI into the organizational structure for long-term impact. They will develop plans to help organizations tend to the conditions of employees' identity and values that differ with the changing times. A key element of a CDO's role is working with the CEO or COO to develop initiatives to support DI. This means that they support leadership in strategy and structural planning. The CDO should be responsible for employees' workplace satisfaction, since their individual needs are critical to the organization. If you have staff who constantly experience microaggressions, they may have a lower level of engagement and be more likely to leave the company willingly. There must be a dedicated staff whose responsibilities include establishing and maintaining inclusivity. Do these staffers have the right experience, interests, and knowledge to support organizations in creating inclusive environments, measure the effectiveness of initiatives, and have those tough conversations with leadership? Whom do they answer to? You may be wondering, well, if they are working closely with the CEO, COO, CPO, whom do they report to? The answer should be the CEO or COO. A Chief Diversity Officer should not report to the Chief People Officer, rather, they should work with HR as a teammate. Fun fact, HR cannot do everything. DI is complex and requires a team of people to develop strategy and practices for success. Everyone in HR does not automatically make them competent in DI. As human resources responsibilities expand, we cannot expect the HR staff to also know how to support DI efforts in the capacity needed for success. When it comes to building out diversity, equity and inclusion roles, organizations need to focus on the company's current knowledge base. Consider how your organization currently functions, what your DI gaps are, and in what way this role will function at the organizational level. While sourcing the right candidates for this role, there may already be staff on your team who can collaborate on a task force to support executive leaders. These key individuals already may be noticing and talking about issues and concerns from the ground up. Don't forget, these people need to get paid. When you have staff who are doing the hard work in the interim, compensate them and acknowledge their efforts within the organization. As you continue to increase efforts around DI, your team will need your full commitment. You have to be willing to let someone with the knowledge and experience guide your organization in the right direction and also accept the feedback they will provide. Invest resources and time to engage with their initiatives and new practices. Acknowledge that nothing will be perfect overnight. Embedding DI into your organization is a long process that inevitably needs attention and accountability.